Hey guys, Ghazzy TV here with another Path of Exile video, and in this one I'm going to talk about how to craft the classical generic Minion helmet. Now there's quite a few different variations of this, and I'm going to show you or talk about some basic stuff about it first, and that is the approach of just having a helmet with +2 level of Minion skills.
Shit.
So if we go to trade and we search for something that has level of all Minion skills, say 2 on a helmet, preferably with some life and maybe a rest. You can see here that you can buy these for about 20 chaos. Keep in mind that not all of these are bone helmets.
Are you new to PoE?
They're not all bone helmets. So this is how you want to do it. And when it comes to the base itself, you don't care about it if you're going to use Eldritch currency, such as the Eldritch Ichor or the Eldritch Embers. If you're planning on using this, implicit goes away, so there's no reason to use a bone helmet because they will override the minion damage. So this is basically how you would do a +2 generic helmet with life or resistances, and that's it. Outside of that, we're going to be talking about the approach of you doing the generic minion helmet. And when I'm talking about that, that's referring to Shaper Elder helmets. Now, I'm going to show you the mirror helmet of this league, which is absolutely astonishing. However, this one is obviously a lot more expensive to craft. So we're going to talk about certain aspects of this. And I'm going to talk about an exception on the item first before we move on to the other details. And the exception to this is Absolution. Now, Absolution wants to use an essence of insanity rather than essence of horror. And the reason you want to do that is because the essence of insanity gives you 50% of the socketed skills physical damage added as extra lightning. And Absolution deals 100% lightning damage with a conversion of 15 to lightning, and then usually have a physical to lightning support gem. So that makes that essence craft so much better than any other modifier you can have on the helmet. So those helmets for Absolution, they should be crafted with the essence of insanity. But most people don't do that. You can use the other modifiers. So taking that exception aside, we're looking at generic helmets. And there is a handful of different modifiers that people want for their builds. So we're going to look at the Mage Skeletons, Zoomancer, and Elemental SRS mainly. And the modifiers we're looking at is obviously Essence of Horror, which is an essence craft. That is a very attractive modifier, one of the strongest, even better than level 20 Hypothermia, for example. The other modifier is Hypothermia, and the reason we use this is for Guardians, we get the Hatred aura effect, which allows the minions to do chilling effect. That's how we enable the actually increased damage from the Hypothermia. Zoomancer already does cold conversion, don't have to worry about that there. So Hypothermia. Socketed gems are supported by minion damage, and then their socketed spells have crit, not attacks, because the gem itself, in this case SRS, is tagged with spells. So the spell gem itself gets the crit. That's why it applies to the minions, because they're inheriting that. So again, Hypothermia, minion damage, socketed spells have crit. 3 really big ones, obviously the essence on the side. Fourth modifier would be the plus level of to 1 or 2 level of all minion skills. This is a great modifier. It's absolutely insane. However, the other 3 gives you more damage. The only time the plus level of minion skills would be more attractive would be specifically for Zoomancer builds, because they want level for their specters more than anything. Whereas the other builds, such as Elemental SRS or Mage Skeletons, they still benefit from it, but not as much as the other modifiers. So when we're looking at these type of helmets and going from a budget perspective, to avoid needing a 6-link chest piece, you normally want to have a combination of 2 of those modifiers to start with. And since you can use a 6-link chest piece and have a +2 level of all minion skill helmet, the 2 modifiers should not be that level of minion skills. So you can move into that setup if you're having like a minion damage, Hypothermia, or socketed spells have crit, any combination of 2 of that to start with the helmet, which would give you a little bit less damage than that of having your 6-link chest piece. And then when you want to move into a medium budget state, you want to have a combination of 3 of those modifiers. Now, Craft of Exile is always going to be your friend in this. So we're going to use Bone Helmet because that gives you maximum damage, but you don't have to have Bone Helmets. And in this case, you can then click on Influence to add Shaper and Elder into this. And then you can search for the modifiers that you want. In this case, we're looking at, level of minion skills. We're looking at the possibility of minion damage of any tier. Keep in mind that less duration actually works as well. I wouldn't want that, but it does work if you want to be picky. Hypothermia and socket spells have crit. Click Fossils, because that's going to be the best way. And you can do a setup that has one of these modifier, or one of each, and one of those 2 modifiers. And it's going to tell me to use either bound and frigid, or it's going to tell me to use bound, pristine, dense, or bound and deft fossil, for example. The problem here is that the minion damage plus level of minion skills and hypothermia, those three are the most attractive ones because most people are used to looking for those, and people don't seem to value the level of spells, the increased crit for your spells, which is insanely good, especially for the guardian approaches. Bound and deft, as you can see here, so you take an average of 11 divines to craft this. Obviously, I would recommend that if you get like a 20 min damage and 20 hypothermia and there's an open suffix, just slam the item with an exalted orb. They cost what? 15 chaos right now. That would be my recommendation. That's how I crafted quite a few of these helmets. However, if I split this up and I want to have 4 of these modifiers, the average craft cost goes pretty crazy. So that's one way of doing it. So my recommendation is not using the deft fossil because more people are going to be looking at the hypothermia rather than the critical strike chance. So what I would do is I would use a bound and combine that with frigid fossil, and the average craft cost is about the same, but you also get an extra resistance roll, which people are actually finding rather attractive. So that's how I would do it, and I've been promoting this idea of crafting this helmet this way to get bound and frigid on a Woke Orb helmet. But let's just rewind the tape just for a few seconds. How do you Woke Orb the helmet? First things first, the highest item level required for these things is 84 for the tier 1 spell crit, so you want to make sure that your bone helmet is of item level 84 or higher by searching for that in here. You're looking for a bone helmet. You have quite a few different things you can do. You can search it like this, and then buy one of these, and then on top of that, purchase something like a Redeemer's Exalted Orb as an example. Pop that on the item, then use the Harvest Benchcraft to randomize the influence. Or you can just do this and search for an Elder or a Shaper influenced bone helmet from the get-go. So this is Shaper helmets. They're going for 0.6 divines. An Elder helmet would cost about 100 chaos. So you can buy these from the get-go. And then once you've done that, say you have your bone helmet in here, you will buy the other influence you don't have, put that over here, use the Woke Orb on the bad base first, and then on the good base, which will move the influence to that base, and you'll have a Shaper Elder bone helmet. Something else to keep in mind when you're moving helmets, if you really want to pick out the good stats out of this and maybe spend as little as possible, would be to alteration craft and then make them rare. Both helmets, so the Elder helmet should have minion damage on them, and the Shaper helmet should have either crit or the hypothermia, because what happens when you Woke Orb them is that not only is the influence taken and transferred, it will also take one of the existing influence modifiers on the item. So if the hypothermia is the only influence modifier that exists on the Shaper helmet, it will keep that hypothermia modifier. Same thing on the Elder helmet. If the minion damage is the only influence modifier from the influence pool on that helmet, that will be kept. So when you Woke them, you guarantee those two to be kept. Maybe you get lucky when you Woke it and you hit the third one and you're already done without crafting it. So that's how it works with the helmet craft, how to achieve a low budget version of these. I think I have a couple for them still up for sale. So here's an example of concentrated effect, which is again to the exception because a helmet like this would work really, really well for something like Absolution, because they can scale from concentrated effect and they scale from level of AoE gems. Think I have more conc effect with 3 crit right there. That's again an Absolution helmet, another Absolution helmet, another Absolution helmet. However, this one has an essence, hypothermia, and crit. The essence, crit, and hypothermia. So this could actually work for non-absolution as well. That is a essence of insanity crafted. This is an insanely good absolution helmet. And then we have another absolution. I think I only have absolution helmets left to go. This is a crazy one of the best ones in the league right now. Another essence of insanity. So again, another one of those absolution helmets. Same thing there. And here is a righteous fire helmet, and here's another absolution helmet. So I've sold all of my Skelly and Zoomancer helmets. Anyways, so that's basically how the process of the craft does. The only thing you want to do when you go up to higher tier budget is start spamming essences, and now the craft cost goes absolutely fucking wild. That's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. Leave me a like the video, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment down below what you guys think of it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, stay safe. Keep rocking.